Good evening. It is 7:33. Wednesday, we are going to start our legislative session, 7:32, excuse me. And it is the 5th of February, the pledge, and then we'll start the meeting. Public.
Trustee Fritchie. That's me. Is that me making that noise? That was me. Trustee White,
Present?
Trustee Yost,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Lopez,
Present.
May 11,
Present.
Mayor and trustee announcements.
Okay, good evening. I do not have any announcements, actually. I don't that I can recall, and I think the trustees have either. A rare occasion, as that might be. So we are going to start with the meeting.
Okay, administrative reports, village manager, Karen Tator.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So on Sunday, Trustee Yost, Clerk Donnelly, and myself were up in Albany for NICOM's winter legislative meeting. NICOM is the New York Conference of Mayors. This is always like a really great opportunity to get, really good insight into what's going on at the state level and also be able to advocate for the local level. So we were able to review, get a review of Governor Hochul's budget. It's a $252 billion executive budget that was proposed for fiscal year 2025. And a lot of things in there, but some things to note. AIM funding, and AIM is the funding that all municipalities receive from the state. It's aid and incentives for municipalities. That's the abbreviation AIM. And this is something that NICOM always lobbies heavily on to make sure that we get more of that money coming in. Right now, that is, it is in at the same level of $715 million, and that's the same level as the previous year. Transportation funding also, we're seeing good levels for that with funding at current year levels, and another $100 million for a Pave the Potholes program. Water and sewer infrastructure funding too there's an additional $500 million for drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. And one of the things NICOM is lobbying for is to get municipalities funding more directly the same way we do for paving, similar to the CHIPS program, so that municipalities have money for water infrastructure, which is as we all know, considerably expensive. So we attended a variety of sessions on everything from emergency medical service delivery and meeting the challenges that our EMS sector faces. Looking ahead, we do have a good system in place here, but we are learning from other municipalities and things that we're doing that can make that system more responsive and more effective. We looked at economic development was always a big subject, and we looked at a tax increment financing program, which is used very successfully in other states, but not so much. It's not really well implemented in New York. But this is a way that municipalities can leverage a public financing method that's used to subsidize redevelopment of infrastructure and other community improvement projects based on the principle of being able to capitalize on future gains in taxes to finance the project. So it's really interesting stuff there. So we'll see what happens with more legislation in New York to be able to facilitate those type of local incentives. We talked about the risks and rewards of IMAs and intermunicipal agreements, the impact of New York State laws, such as the requirement for all municipalities to go to maintain an official website with a .gov domain, which we were way ahead of, thankfully, as well as lot of discussion on navigating the challenges of local code enforcement, which is really a statewide, probably nationwide issue. a lot of things that we're doing already, looking at ways to work with fire department and make sure that they are licensed to do some inspections, as well as shared services, which may work very well upstate where you have smaller municipalities, but we'll see what kind of things we might be able to do with some of our, in Westchester to build on the learning that we had at NICOM. And that said, it was a very packed, full 2 days or almost day and a half of meetings, starting Sunday afternoon and going into Tuesday morning. We did see the governor at the governor's mansion, and she spoke about her pro-housing initiatives and the carrots that she's putting out to encourage more diversity in housing stock to be built, as well as we heard from our our Attorney General, New York State Attorney General Tisha James, as well as Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado. So it was really an interesting thing. I do urge all the trustees to go when you can get a chance. The winter meeting's kind of a nice meeting because it's shorter, so if work's an issue, you don't have to worry too much about that. But a lot of good information and a lot of good information that Sue and Pat can share as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Sue. Good evening, folks. We finished 2024 with 1,006 FOIL requests to the village, which is an all-time record. However, it looks like this year may break that. As of in January, the clerk's office took in 108 FOIL requests. That's more than a 50% increase from the January before, where only 70 were taken in. So I say it each time I talk about FOIL requests, but it's important to note that as all the work that the clerk's office does, but the various village departments, particularly building, police, finance, we also get a lot of assistance from the assessor, as well as from the receiver of taxes with many of these FOIL requests. I should also point out that many of the town FOIL requests, and the town last year didn't crack 200, but many of the town's FOIL requests are also directed for police records. So realistically, they are in fact village FOIL requests. And many of those requests are looking for body cams and for things which could be hours in length, and they have to be looked at, they have to be scrubbed. So there's a lot that goes in for each department that does it, but I do want to continue to thank everyone in those different departments for all the work that they do to get these things done. I get a weekly report from the building department as to what's going on with the FOIL requests. Every month from Janet in the clerk's office, I get an active FOIL report to see where we are with regard to that. But again, this January was very busy. I was looking back in 2024. February of 2024 was exceptionally busy. So if we're following that trend, we're probably looking at another record-breaking year in terms of FOIL requests, which, while a minor part of what all those different departments do, is a major time undertaking. And except for very limited circumstances, there's no fee that you can get for the time that is spent to do the FOIL requests. So I just point that out. I do want to make one point to the folks who do file FOIL requests. A FOIL request is a request for documents. It is not a request for legal advice. So when folks send a FOIL request asking, can I build X on this lot, or is the house legal for this? We cannot respond to that in the FOIL request. You can always call the planning department and speak to the planner and get some information. But in terms of documents, that's what FOIL is for. Thank you.
Stuart, just
Yes,
a
sir.
quick question. On an average, and I'm not trying to hold you to a number, what are the roughly on an average in the hours spent on a FOIL request? I know they vary, but I'm just saying if you were to pick a number.
Well, I can give you I'll just give an example. We got a FOIL request for body cam images from the town involving a motor vehicle accident. It was a combined 9+ hours of body cam to go through. And that didn't include the reports and everything else. Uh, some of the FOIL requests, Trustee Fritchie, for the building department can be filled very quickly. The request for a CO or a permit. But lately, we're getting requests for the entire file or all of the planning records, which sometimes have to get sent out, but they have to be found. Sometimes we get FOIL requests we can't respond to. We did get one asking for, you know, Board of Trustees records from the 1920s. And my paralegal went down to the operations center, but no such luck in those books. So I would say it's tough to say. I can say this, the time spent on the police ones is much more because there's a lot of work there. And that's Teresa and Sergeant McGovern and Lieutenant Lance, do yeoman's work with regard to that. But, some get done easily. If they're asking just if there are outstanding water bills, Dale can do that in about 30 seconds.
All right.
So it
Thank you.
varies.
And just to piggyback on that, as we get more and more of our files on electronically, it can get a little bit easier, but it is a lot of work to do. Police Chief Aaron Zimmerman.
Good evening. I don't have much other than the announcement for the next Westchester County Police exam has come out. Probably the biggest thing to take note of is the filing date. The last date you can file is February 24th of this year. The test is on the 4th of May, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, 2025. They're only accepting applications online. So you have to register for the test online. You can go to www.westchestergov.com/HR. You can navigate your way to the test. There's a fee associated with the application. Pay the fee, sign up for the test. But that has to be done before the 24th of this month. All I got.
Okay, organizational announcements. Announcements may be event related only and shall be no longer than 2 minutes in length. Is there, I understand, we have a visitor today, but I know what he wants to speak on. So is there anyone in our virtual world that wants to raise their little virtual hand? All right, moving on. Public comments on agenda items. Visitors shall be accorded a 1 4-minute opportunity to address the board on any of the resolutions on the agenda. Is there anyone in our virtual world that would like to do that? They may raise their little virtual yellow hand. No one there. Visitor recognition. Visitors are accorded a 1 3-minute opportunity to address the board with issues not relating to the agenda, but of relevance of the common good of the village. And sir, would you please give your name and address?
Sure. My name is Bill Votava. I'm with Up the River Events, and my address is 21 Browning Drive in Ossining, New York. Thank you for this opportunity to meet with you, all your trustees. Some of you I know, some I don't. I operate several businesses here in Ossining, 2 musical bands, a bookkeeping company, and Up the River Events, which is a event planning company. Last year we had the very first Up the River Blues Festival here in Ossining, New York, down at the river in September. It was a very nice event, beautiful day. We had about 1,000 people come through. We had food vendors that were Ossining businesses. We had beer vendors that were Ossining businesses. We had craft vendors that were Ossining businesses. I give you all this information because I have reserved Main Street for June 14th of this year in an attempt to run the Ossining Village Fair. I was with the Chamber of Commerce for a year, just about as their treasurer, and many of the businesses, and I call them my partners that helped me put the Blues Festival together, are former members of the Chamber of Commerce. We have the experience and the practical knowledge to make the Village Fair happen again. I met with Bill Garrison about a week ago just to open discussions on getting a permit to do the Village Fair in June of this year. And he said there was some hesitation on the part of the trustees to consider having the Village Fair again. So I started a social media post just to see how people felt about fair, the citizens and the businesses that operate here, some of the 2,601 registered businesses in Ossining feel about the opportunity to have the fair. And we got a considerable amount of responses. And again, it was a social media post. We had 99 likes, 25 loves, 98 comments, including some from a village trustee. And the overwhelming response was that people enjoyed it. They feel it's part of the culture of our town where we live. And again, tonight I'm just wanting to introduce myself because I don't know all of you. I've met many of you, but you don't know who I am. So I thought I'd give you some background on myself and my companies and how I've worked for other events in this village and other entities that are in and around Ossining. So I think I've used about a minute and a half. Is there anything I can just respond very quickly to you?
First of all, I'm not aware that there's anything booked for June 14th, so I'm not going to ask. Is there something booked for June 14th for a village fair?
That there was a request to reserve the date.
Okay, so
There-
it isn't reserved.
There was a request to reserve the date. In previously, we had told all event organizers that as of 2025, the summer of 2025, spring, summer, we would not be taking applications for Main Street events because we will likely be close to or beginning or in the midst of breaking ground on the parking structure. What has been told to anyone seeking to do anything, the biggest issue that we have is not so much whether people like the fair or don't like the fair. That's not the issue. The issue is the businesses on Main Street have been emphatic about not doing anything that would compromise their businesses during the construction period. The businesses on Main Street would have to be in full support of anything for the board to even consider it. And this has been conveyed. I had a discussion with Bill about this. That's what should have been conveyed to you as well. There are potentially other locations to do things, but I do not believe, based on what I have heard from any of the businesses, that there is any interest, while parking is already going to be compromised in that area, to have Main Street events because of the need to, when we close down the street, we close down businesses for most of the businesses.
So
Well,
I
I
think,
would just debate that when
there's
you
no
close- No, but when you close the businesses, the street, you don't close any of the businesses.
just-
Now, they may,
when I say there's no debate, I don't actually, that wasn't actually a question. I chair this meeting.
I'm
And,
not,
and you know that. So let me finish the thought here. It's, nobody questions whether people like free events. That's never an issue. Everybody likes free events. I've been living here for 32 years. I like all these fairs. I go to as many as I can. My kids love them. It's all good. It's not an argument. The question is simply this. We spent a year and a half putting together an event policy. The preeminent producer in the past, it doesn't have to be in the future, but in the past, many, many, many years, you know, because you were on this group, is a civic organization, which is a nonprofit. You are, from my understanding, positioned yourself as you presented tonight that you're a for-profit business. That changes it a little bit. It may not be an issue at all. I'm not judging whether it is or not. I'm simply stating a data point that this is not quite the same thing. And the village fair is not run by the village, as you know. It is run by private entities, nonprofit entities, et cetera. So it's not quite the same as what it was. On the issue of, and the managers, on the issue of whether people like events, the answer is always, of course people like events. Why wouldn't you like the event? That's not the issue. The issue is closing down an entire street, having police, businesses who lose their business that day, and some businesses who would argue they do better that day. One would believe that there are businesses that probably do great. So my question to you is, aside from the statement and the introduction, is there another purpose for you to be here tonight? It's not a Q&A and it's not a conversation. Is the purpose to just let people, it's not to let people know about the date because the village manager just informed us that in fact that date has not been reserved. So is there something we can do for you tonight that you would like the board to know beyond the fact that your private company is interested in having Main Street closed down to produce a fair which has been produced for many years by the Chamber of Commerce and now by your company.
Okay, just to back up 1 minute. My company is in the early stages of applying for a non-for-profit. So again, you have to treat me as a for-profit company. And I did relay that to Bill Garrison because,
Well, you said today too. I mean,
yeah,
nobody's questioning that.
so I'm not sure what information was fed back or not. As far as the reservation, it was entered in the Parks and Recreation calendar as a reservation. So maybe I'm using the wrong term,
Sue-
Karen.
Sue, it's pending. Sue, again, there's a process here. The communication was very, very specific. It goes for any entity wanting to do anything on Main Street. It does not matter if everybody loves the event. The event is not the issue. The issue is we have heard definitively from the majority of businesses in that area that they are not supportive of closing down the street, particularly when there is going to be construction that's already compromising their parking. So there could be potentially other areas in the town and village based on the scope of any event, not just yours, that can be hosted. There are many, many other locations that potentially can fill the need. I don't know the format of the event. I don't know. All of that needs to be the anticipated number of people. All of that will drive that decision of where events can be had. But as of 2025, everybody who has done and will be doing events or typically does events has already been notified that it is more than very, very likely Main Street is not an option, and that for the foreseeable future, as we do construction on Main Street, we will not be hosting events there because it is an imposition on the businesses there. So again, not to say that events aren't good, that location does not work while we are under construction on other projects.
Okay, so we're going to conclude this because we're way over
Yep, 3
the
minutes. I
minutes,
appreciate it.
which even though there's nobody else here, it's just that next time somebody else will come and we'll say, why did that guy get more? So we're going to try to be consistent. We're already over time. Here's the deal. Events, there's a policy that's been put in place now for quite a while after rigorous focus groups and all of that. There is a policy in place, a process in place, et cetera. The board looks at things that might be different, and this legislative session is open to all organizations who want to announce something, which is what you did. Any conversations back and forth about the rules, the process, the policies, et cetera, goes through the village manager and her staff. So I would say that would be your next steps and see where you might do this fair if it's on a main street, if there are other options available to you. I'm sure they'll be helpful in that. I appreciate you coming in, but for now, what I wanted to make sure is that this goes on public record, that there isn't a misunderstanding. So I appreciate you coming in. I'm sure you'll continue the conversation with the staff on how to make whatever it is you want happen.
Thank you. Yes,
Just would
thank
like
you.
one
Sorry.
for the record. Historically, there has been a village fair. For the past several years, when that was run on Main Street, it was run by the Chamber of Commerce. It was not a village co-sponsored event. It was run by the Chamber of Commerce. It is somewhat misleading, and it's something that I would ask any event organizer to consider, is that if this is an event for a specific organization, that sponsor's name of organization should be prominent in the theming and naming of that event so that there's not a misunderstanding that somehow this is endorsed or supported or being funded by the village. That is for all event holders.
Great. Thank you for that.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Moving on to Village Board Resolutions, approval of minutes, January 22nd, 2025. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the January 22nd, 2025 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry?
Omar abstain.
I'm gonna go.
Omar.
I'm in favor.
Okay, approval of minutes, January 29th, 2025. Okay, so resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the January 29th, 2025 special meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you. Abstain. Okay, review of the voucher detail report. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 5th, 2025, in the amount of $631,016.56. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me.
Resolve that approving the 2025 cabaret license for Trifecta Cuisine Corporation, DBA Karma Lounge of Westchester, 175 Main Street, Austin, New York. Whereas pursuant with chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of the Village of Austin, the authorized representative of the business of Trifecta Cuisine Corporation, DBA Karma Lounge of Westchester, 175 Main Street, Austin, New York, presented an application to the village clerk, the licensing officer, for a cabaret license. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the application on January 29th, 2025 work session, hearing from Captain Donahue and Corporation Counsel Kahan, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant with the code, the Board of Trustee hereby approves a cabaret license for 2025, please make that amendment, for Trifecta Cuisine Corporation, DBA Karma Lounge of Westchester, 175, where soft drinks, wine, and beer beverages, and any other alcohol beverages may be served as follows. Daily hours, days and hours, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m., Thursday and Friday from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., Thursday and Sunday, I apologize. Friday and Saturday, 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. with live music. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the question,
Yeah, go ahead.
Thursday, Sunday, should be 11 p.m. Wasn't that the original, our hours, 11 p.m., or was 12 p.m. the latest?
12 on those nights. He
Oh.
asked specifically for 11.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer. What was it?
No, on Thursday, you mean Thursday and Sunday when it is 12, when it
Correct.
is 12 a.m.?
I thought our hours were 11 p.m. and Friday, Saturday was
1 a.m.
1 a.m. But
12 and then 1, but he asked for 11 p.m.
that's fine.
I
Well-
guess the question is, don't we normally do Thursday? You thought that normally Thursday,
Sunday through Thursday, I thought were 12 or 11 p.m.
but that was what we were doing for everybody.
That's what we agreed to, I
Good.
think, in our policy, correct?
I don't know.
Oh, it's not a
But it was midnight,
Mm.
then it was 1 a.m. on.
That's what we've been doing.
Okay.
He's just asking if this is consistent with what we've been doing. Yes.
Oh, this is consistent with what we've been doing. And also, this applicant actually asked for 3 a.m. So everything was.
No,
okay.
it's what they asked for is one thing, but I think
Understood.
the only thing the trustee is asking is whether this is consistent with what we've been doing for the past year. Is that
Yes.
correct, Bob? And the
Yeah.
answer, I think, to that is
It
yes,
is.
it is consistent. Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. License agreement with
LB Churrasco.
LB,
LB Churrasco.
Tarasco Corporation, 39 Spring Street. Resolved that following review of Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to sign a license agreement with LB Carasso Corporation, allowing the seasonal installation of a vestibule in the front of the entrance to
Churrasqueria Ribatejo.
39 Spring Street in Austin, New York. Do I have a motion?
On the question?
Yep.
I'm presuming that there's conditions set with this, Stuart, as far as time
It's
and,
going to be from December 1st to April 15th.
thank you.
Is it not in here, Bob?
I didn't look at the, I didn't
It
look,
will be in the license agreement, not in the resolution.
Because it was discussed last week very specifically about the timeframe.
Yes,
So,
and that's
yeah,
in the
right.
license agreement.
Oh, what's up? Calling Bob, right?
no, I know it was, I just,
Yeah, it's just not in this piece, but it was discussed and it'll be in the agreement. Also, if I could ask in the comment section here, that both the police and building department keep careful eye on this, because we just want to make sure that it's kept up to standard. Nobody's bumping into anything, et cetera, because we don't do this a lot. And if we're going to do one, let's just keep our eye on it, because if it works, I'm assuming others will ask for it, which is fine. If it's good and it works, why not do more of them? But let's just keep our eyes on the first one if that's, especially, with the police, if there's issues, et cetera.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Microsoft Cloud Subscription Agreement. Resolved that upon review of Corporation Counsel, the village manager is authorized to sign a proposal with Planet Technologies, Inc., 9801 Washingtonian Boulevard. Okay, Suite 360, Maryland, for a Microsoft Cloud subscription for the period of April 13th, 2025 to April 13th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
On a question, we discussed this last week? Or did I miss this? Was this discussed?
Good evening. This was not discussed in the work session. This is, and I believe Stuart and Dale can back me up on this. This is something that is traditionally budgeted for, but because it's a new contract exceeding a certain amount, best practice is to get board resolution.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Changes to fee schedules for 2025 other than water and sewer fees, whereas the village adopted financial goals and policy requires, in part, the establishment and periodic evaluation of user charges and fees to help reduce the reliance on real property taxes, and whereas the village management recommends certain changes to the escrow fee schedule for review of land use applications, now therefore it be resolved that the village's fee schedule is hereby amended effective February 5th, 2025 as follows, and the fee schedule is on the internet, on the webpage, and also on the bulletin board at the clerk's office. It is all building and planning department fees. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Fire Department appointment, Washington Hook and Ladder Company Number 2. Resolved that upon recommendation of the Fire Chief, Patrick
Moit.
Moit, Austin, New York, was elected to active members of Washington Hook and Ladder Company Number 2 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please be aware that the next resolution will be a roll call vote. A resolution authorizing the purchase of Dextron dehumidification systems in and for the Village of Austin, Westchester, New York, for a maximum estimated cost of $1,500,000, and authorizing, subject to pervasive referendum, the issuance of $1,500,000 serial bonds of said village to pay for the cost thereof. Be it resolved that by the affirmative vote of no less than 2/3 of the total voting strength of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin, Westchester County, New York, as follows. Section 1, the purchase of a Dextron dehumidification system, including 2 roof units and 2 boilers for the Caputo Community Center, as well as costs incidental thereto, and in and for the Village of Austin, Westchester, New York, is hereby authorized, subject to permissive referendum, at a maximum estimated cost of $1,500,000. The plan for financing the aforementioned maximum estimated cost is by issuance of $1,500,000 serial bonds of said village, hereby authorized to be issued therefore pursuant with the provisions of the local finance law. The resolution will be adopted subject to permissive referendum, excuse me. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dale is on, right? Hey, Dale
Andy is too.
and Andy. Where was this in the budget? When we did the budgets?
Good evening, Mayor and Board. This was part of the capital plan. And actually, the capital project itself was created on the January 22nd meeting. And this is the next step in moving forward with it.
And the money comes, I'm sort of curious to every single request for money over like $5,000, what part of it is backed by, or is funded by federal dollars?
This is 100% village funded. So there is no match with this project.
And, okay, and no association to any federal dollars, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, oh, I apologize.
No, I'm sorry. Dale, were you saying something?
No, thank you.
Okay. You? Anybody else? Okay.
Roll
Sue?
call vote. Trustee Fritchie?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Yost? Trustee, Deputy Mayor Lopez? And Mayor Levin.
Aye.
Okay. A resolution to adopt, oh no, that's that one. Sorry about that. Okay, finance operating budget transfers for various capital projects from 2024 financing sources. Whereas the village management established the capital projects for various capital purposes and purchases, which were part of the village's 2025 capital plan and designated to be financed by accumulating an available surplus fund balance as of December 31st, 2024. And now therefore be it resolved that the adoption of the adopted budget of the general fund is modified in 2024 to appropriate unexpended appropriations and or accumulated and available fund balance for the 2025 capital plan items aggravating $500,000 approved on January 22nd, 2025 as follows. And again, the different funds are posted on the webpage, and also on the bulletin board of the clerk's office. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Was there a
Any
second?
comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Digital surveillance solutions. Whereas the New York State Office of General Services issued an award 23150 for Group 77201, Intelligent Facility and Security Systems and Solutions, and whereas the authorized users of the contract awarded by the state included local municipalities such as the Village of Ossining, and whereas in accord with the state's requirements, proposals were obtained from 3 contractors approved by the Office of General Services, now therefore be it resolved that the following review of Corporation Counsel, the village manager is authorized to sign the following proposals from Digital Surveillance Solutions, 485 Congra Street, Buffalo, New York, quote, DSSQ 6444, 4-lane LPR system, $14,662.99. Quote, DSSQ 6443, 2-lane LPR system, $71,597.33. And quote, DSQ 6522, 3-lane LPR system, $12,426.99. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, so can someone tell me what this is exactly? Anybody? Who am I looking at?
You're looking at the chief.
This is part of the critical infrastructure grant that we were awarded, and this is the equipment that we're buying with it. It's LPR systems.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, though. I don't remember discussing this last week. I may have missed it. So what is it? What are we talking about here in plain English?
Additional license plate reader systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So these are all different kinds. And the funding, Dale, for this is from where?
This is state funding, and we actually were prepaid on this one and received the funds July 2nd of 2024. And we have a March 15th, I believe, deadline in order to expend it. So we don't want to send that money back, especially when we have it in hand, right? Drew Mariano spent an enormous amount of time researching and getting all these quotes together as prescribed in the award listed by New York State, which had a little different cadence to it than other state awards have in the past. So I appreciate all his hard work on this. And hopefully the board approves it and we can move forward and get this going.
Okay. We're in the middle of a vote. Anybody else have questions? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Continuing business of the board.
I just have one quick update on this. Given the mayor, your questions on the last 2 items. We did have a meeting with our friends at Department of State regarding our DRI projects, and we have talked to people when we were in NICOM. all of our grants, state grants that we have signed contracts on, all of that money has been appropriated. Those grants, there is no problem moving forward with them. They are not, they're not subject to being frozen for any reason currently. So we are state grants. With regard to federal grants, I was told by representative in Congressman Lawler's office that federal grants that have been appropriated by Congress will likely, there should be no reason that they can't go ahead. But that's a conversation that we can continue to have. But state
Right.
grants are not, for all of our, that would be for the WIA grant, at the water treatment plant, the water treatment plant grants, the DRI grants, the CREST grants, any of our consolidated funding grants. As long as we have the executed contracts, we are good to go.
Okay, well, that's great news. The reason I'm asking this on behalf of the board is, as I stated last week, in the past 2 weeks, what we have learned is that many grants that are given through the county and through the state, as it turns out, are also backed by federal funds. If those federal funds are dried up or stopped or seized or in court or whatever it is, we still go forward, we still have to pay everyone. And so we end up holding the bag. We have approximately $40 to $50 million in outstanding grants out there. And so our vendors expect to get paid. Doesn't matter that our money may not come from somewhere. So now we have to look at every single grant and ask ourselves where the dollar starts. If it somehow is backed by the federal government or comes from it in some way, we simply can't afford to take that chance. It wouldn't be responsible. And we have so many projects. If we can't do one or two, not the end of the world. If it has to be delayed, not the end of the world. There's plenty of work that we're looking to do this year. But large and small, we're still going to ask that question. And I think our finance folks are very much aware. The village manager, as you heard, when they were with NICOM and when they were in Albany, took a look at that. And I think there's probably more to come on that, but we don't want to be left holding the bag, as they say, because we have suffered in this village in the past when the state ran out of money, for example. It becomes a problem. So hopefully we are going to look at cross all the Ts and dot the Is and make sure that we're not holding the bag, that we do only the projects that the money is slated for, approved. And as Dale stated, some money actually in the bank already, is the one already discussed. So I appreciate all of the homework being done by the village manager and the staff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, all the DRI projects move forward, not just some of them. I think that's actually good news. And we will, I think, I'm slated to contact Congressman Lawler's office. I saw him a few days ago. I had mentioned that we have some concerns, and I know the town does as well, about not just grants, but other programs that are backed by federal dollars. So appreciate that.
Moving on to a new business of the board, Specialized Landscaping Services, Henry Gordine Park. Resolved that following review of Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to issue a request for proposals for specialized landscaping service at Henry Gordine Park. Such services to be performed on or about March 24th, 2025 to November 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Second.
So obviously new business. So the
Yep.
obvious question is, what's this about? Since most of us probably have not heard about this.
During the budget process, we had talked about the fact that the Austin Parks Department would be assuming the responsibility for the maintenance of Henry Gordine Park this year. So we had talked about our bill, being able to do this with current staff as efficiently as possible. As far as the general maintenance that we do in the park, mowing lawns, things like that, that really is not going to impact. We will not have to hire new staff. We can do that. However, as many of you know, if you've been down Henry Gordine Park, they have a lot of gardens and plantings, landscaping that really requires professional landscaping services that we do not have in-house. So we had We had discussed in the budget meetings that this would be something that we would budget for. It is in the 2025 budget, and we are now seeking, we're now issuing the RFP to follow up with that. So as of March, when we get to the spring cleanup season, we will have services in place to take care of the landscaping, the more ornamental landscaping in the park.
Hey. So this is actually just a request to do an RFP for it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
We have exec session? Don't think so.
Second.
Motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, et cetera, 8:19. And we appreciate everyone being here. We will see everybody next Wednesday. Thanks.